Hello, welcome to another video tutorial. Today we're looking at May-June 2025, um, paper 2-1, and we'll be looking at the database part, which is task 3. So we'll move straight to task 3. Here we're going to produce a report, and this date format D and Y needs to be taken note of. So we'll first import learner. Then we'll set the learner number as a primary key. So first of all, we'll open access. And click on blank database. So we'll save this as May, June 2025 on P21 and choose a working area. As the destination where this folder needs to be saved, and click on create. Next, we'll close table 1, go to external data, new data source, from file and text file, and then we'll browse to locate the papers that we need, the source files. So they are here. We want to import learners. Click on OK. We keep it at delimited. Go to next. First row contains field names. Click on advanced. And we're going to check the data types against what we have in our question. So the first 3 is test, then we have number, dates, test text, and then Boolean. So if we go through, we have text, learner number is long text, that is fine. This is fine. So telephone number is short text. Telephone number begins with a plus. Every telephone number begins with a plus. So plus 233 or plus 77 or plus 4 something. So it's a short text. So we click on that. Then the last one is Boolean. So we click on yes, no. And then very important to pay attention to the date format because the question says that we should have the date format at the MY. So you have to pay attention to this at this place. If you change it to something else or it's being displayed in either one of this and not DMY, when you import, you get import error. Another place has to do with the telephone number. If you maintain it as a long integer, again, you get import error, and that will cause you to restart everything. So that is it about that. So we click on OK. We move straight to where the primary key is, and we are choosing learner number as a primary key and save. So finish and close this. So we're going to go to the design view and finalize the dates. So the format they gave us in the question is dd-mmm.yy. So we're going to change the format to dd-mmm-yyy, 2 y's. And then online application, the format should be yes, no. And you check with a lookup to see if the display control is text box. So in this case, it's checkbox. So you have to change it to text box. Click on save and close that. So we are done with the first table. We are asked to take the evidence to display the data types and the field names. So Windows Shift S and then drag for this area. and then paste that in our evidence. So that is the 15. We paste that as our evidence, make a petit border. So that is it for tab 15. All right. Okay, so we'll close the table and go to the next question. So question 16, we're going to import access.csv and set all the data types to text. So we're going to import access. So external data, new data source from file, text file, browse, and then we go to access, double click, okay. We leave it at delimited, go to next, check first row contain field names. You click on advanced to check the data types. So everything is test here. We click on OK, move to where our primary key is, and we are asked to use AA code as a primary key. So we choose AA code as a primary key, next and finish, close. We open this in the design view, and we have to produce an evidence showing the field names and data types in the primary key. So that's the primary key, the field names and data types. So again, we take a screenshot of just this and paste it under step 16. All right. All right. So that is evidence for step 16. All right. Next question. We are importing yet another table for class, the CSV, and identify all the appropriate data to use as a primary key. So in this case here, the question began by saying we should examine the file. So the first thing to do is to open that particular file. So the name of the file is class. So class.csv. We double click to open and click on the triangle, double click in between A and B. Here we looking for a unique field. So the field that has a unique value. The easiest way to do this is to highlight all the fields, go to conditional formatting, highlight, and come to duplicate values. So the field that does not have any of the values, the red um, field on it, is the primary key. So in this case, this here is unique and doesn't have any duplicate. And that is one of the characteristics of a primary key. So this is a primary key field, class ref. So we close this without saving it. And we're going to import that in database. So we close this table, external, new data from file, text file, browse. Then we go to class, double click, okay. Leave it at delimited, go to next, first row contain field names. We check for the field names and data types because it's being provided right here. So use these field names and data types. So the first one is number and the rest are test. So we have number and test. So as far as it is integer, long integer, you leave it as such and click on OK. So we go to next, choose our primary key, and that is class ref. Go to next and finish. And again, we go into the design view to take a screenshot of the field names, data types, and their primary key. Okay. And so that is evidence step 17. What's that? All right. All right. Then we move now to question 18. Question 18 is asking us to create a one-to-many relationship as links between a code field in the access table and a code field in the learner table. So for relationship, it's very important to bring in the tables just as listed in the question. So the first table here is access table, and the next table is the learner table. So we're going to go to close this here. Before you create any relationship, make sure you close all tables. So we go to database tools, relationships, and we bring in, first of all, the access table, and then we bring in the learner table. All right. So in the middle here, this is not showing all fields, so we extend it this way. And so go back to the question. So we are linking AA code to AA. All right, so AA to AA, enforce integrity, and then great. Then we go to the next question. Then the next one is the primary key field in the class table. So the next table we are bringing in is the class table and the class code field in the learner table. So what this means is that the class table should be next to the learner table. So this is the learner table. So the class code come next to it. If they had mentioned access, then we'll bring it over there. So here, this is class. And we're going to link from the question, the primary key in the class table to access code in the learner table. So in the class table, the primary key is ref, class ref, and we are linking it to class code in this table, enforce integrity, and create. Okay. So next we're going to take a screenshot because we are going to place evidence showing the one-to-one mini relationship between the three tables. And this symbol here clearly shows the one-to-many between the three tables. All right, so here it is. And that is our next evidence. So step 18, right there. Okay. Then we go to the next step, question 19. We're going to add these records to the learner table. All right, so we go to learner table, double click, and come to this option here, which is the arrow, the forward arrow with the yellow symbol or star. Click on it. Then we type in Norris, hit the tab key, Emma, that's a female, and then bring in the learner code. So in typing the code, to make sure you provide the correct one, the tab key to go to the next field, so the date of birth before telephone number, tab key, and then we pick the email. This is 4R. Then we have AA02, and that is no. So we click on save. You make sure the data you entered is exactly what is required. So you double check to be sure if that is what you have really entered. Okay, so that brings us to the end of that part. We go to question 20, which is producing a tabular report. So here we're going to create a tabular report. Okay, so some key secret or tricks in creating queries are right here. So we're going to look at this here. Okay, so in creating queries, there are some keywords that you need to pay attention to. and two of them is shows all the fields and selects the records. And so often you see the expression show only the fields in this order, fully visible, display in full, right? So when you see those words, it should let you know that those are the phrase that the exam or the examiner will be looking out for in your creation of the query. Okay. So and then again, once you go in for this year, so using this example, we have this year as shows only the fields. So all these fields here comes in, and then you go to the top, which is the first bullet point, and you see the word select the records where, and so within this place, there are possibilities that there are additional fields that needs to be added to this year. But in the case where you have additional fields to be added to the list of fields here, you will uncheck the box of that fields in the query so that it's not displayed as part of the fields that needs to be displayed. All right. So we're going to go straight to doing this part of the question. So here, select the records and then show. So it means we're going to start with this particular bullet point. And so we're going to import, create a query, and then use it to create the report. Okay. So we save this table, go to create and query design. So we to go back to the question to see which tables are needed. So it said using fields from all the tables. So because it mentioned all the tables, we're going to bring all the tables in here, right? Okay. All right. So next we're going to follow through and bring in the fields. So we have learner number, which is the first, and then we have full name, surname, date of birth, full name, surname, um, date of birth. Then we have gender, and then we have year group, and then we have class code. So year group, class code, and then we have access arrangement and online application. So access arrangement, online application. So that's the first thing you need to do. Then you go up and find out whether there are additional fields that need to be added to this before you even do the filtering. Okay. So this has been done. Um, so we just select this height to know we've done that. So the next part is to select gender. Under the criteria, we're going to put female. So here, gender, under criteria, I type female. That is it. And then come to the next one, arrangement. Access arrangement includes the text time. So very important here. So in doing filtering, there are some key parameters that we have to look out for. Again, here we have some other criteria. So here is a where the records yacht name includes. So we are seeing the word includes. So include the text C and D is 10 or more. So yacht C, so we're going to, under the criteria for yacht C, we're going to put the word asterisk C asterisk. And then for greater than or equal to 10, you do this here. So first of all, you type the value directly under the field in the criteria cell. That is what you need to do. And then there are some cases where you have some multiplier operators as well. So if you have, let's say, more than a certain value, that is what you do, less than, greater than, and all the rest. Okay, and if you have between a certain value, you use the word between and. If you have or, it means you're going to use those two expressions. So you can have either conditions being true, And then there are cases where you exclude, so where we use not. So if you don't have, for example, 2000, then you use not 2000, then it will exclude 2000 as part of the items you want to filter. Then we come to the wildcard search, in which case we make use of the includes or contains. So anytime you see the word includes or contain, it means you have to use asterisk on both sides. And then field starting with A means that you do A asterisk, and then fields and words ending with G, you put asterisk and G. So that is it about filtering. Okay. And then we have some special cases where you use a noun, the word noun, in which case you don't have any data in that particular field, or you use the question mark to bring in certain number of characters that you're interested in. So that is it for um, data filtering. So we're going back to this part here to do the data filtering, which is includes the text time. So what it means is that we're going to go to access arrangement. So under access arrangement, under the criteria, I'm going to type asterisk time and then asterisk. The like will come by itself. So that is it. It brings out all the fields that we need. All right. All right. So that is it for the query. So we save our query as query one. So that is all you need to do your query. The rest here will be done in the report. Okay. So to create um, a report, the first thing you need to do is to create a query. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is to create a report. So, and then sort the data in ascending order of assessment, access arrangement, and descending order of year group. So we're going to do this as soon as we do the report. So we go to create and making sure we have query one selected. We go to report wizard, bring in all the fields, next. And the question mentioned here, category part that um, we shouldn't have any field group here. Do not group the data. So what that means is that within this box here, there shouldn't be two separate boxes. So for example, there are two separate boxes, one up and then the other. When this happens, you are going to have a grouping where access arrangement is going to be at the top and is grouping every other item below it. Or when we have this, you have year group. And so there's going to be another grouping. But this option here makes it not to have any grouping. So you pay attention to this, you go to next, next, next. Let's go back here. So here we have tabular, and we have to pay attention to the orientation. So the orientation here is landscape. So orientation, then landscape. So we choose landscape, next, modify, and finish. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the layout view. So this is the layout view. I'm going to do the sorting by clicking on add sort right here. And the first item we are sorting here is the access arrangement. So access arrangement, so we select the field access arrangement. All right, and then it's going to be from A to Z right here. So A on top and Z below. And then we're going to add the next sort, which is year group, and that should be in descending order. So year group, and the descending order means largest to smallest, right? So that is one way to do the sorting. Another way to do it is to just select this and come to sort and go to for ascending order A to C, descending order Z to A. All right, so that's just another way to do it. All right, so we have done the sort, we have done the orientation, and this part here says that um, fits a single page wide and print on 2 pages only. So what this here means is that within the report, no field should go beyond this dotted line. So if anything goes beyond this dotted line, either to the right or to the left, your work will print on different pages. So it makes it not to fit on a single page. So nothing should go beyond this dotted lines. All right, next we're going to work in the layout view. And what we're going to do is to rearrange the field so that we don't have any field hidden. Okay, so I'm going to start from here. I hold the Control key after selecting the field name and click on the field. I can reduce by just dragging the arrow right in and come back to the learner number and drag it. Okay, so now everything is showing is learner number. Then I go to surname, too big. So I reduce that and just make sure every detail is in there. Then I go to date of birth and decrease the size, make it much bigger. Okay, everything is absorbed. Female is too big, so I decrease the size and pull it to the left. This is not showing the field name, so open it up and then just drag it in a bit. So you just follow this process and then rearrange your field. Now, I prefer students use this option than to go to the design view because oftentimes when students get to the design view, they mess things up and you get them wasting a lot of time just rearranging the fields like I'm doing. Okay, and then another thing is that they open up the field spaces and then the number of pages you get goes beyond what the question requires you to get. All right, so that is it for um, fit on a single page and making sure everything is fully displayed. Then I go to the next one. We're going to include the text arrangement, assets arrangement schedule to be scheduled as a title on top of the page. So I'm going to go to here and double click and paste that. Next, I click on the field, go to home and increase the size to 26. I can extend the field's length here and I can center that and bold in the text right there. Okay, so that is it for the label. And then use a function to display the date of birth of the younger students and place this at the end of the report. Okay, so an easier way to do this here is to come to the date of birth here, right click on it and come to total. All right, so here we're going to have max. Okay, but we notice that max is not activated, so I'll just click on count value and go all the way to the bottom here. So it counts the value, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the youngest date. So we're going to go to the design view. This gives you an idea of where the value is supposed to be. So it's supposed to be at the report footer. So any calculation you do in database report should be done in the report footer. Okay. So we're going to delete count and just put in max, and that is it. So when I go back to the report, I see right here the date here. Okay. Going back to the layout view, we're going to change the date format to suit what is here. So right click, go to properties, And the date format here should be included as DD dash MMM dash YY. All right, so that is it. Right click on this, go to set captions, and that gives you a label or to the left of the date of birth with the youngest age. So here it says that has a label. So that is the label, which is fully visible to the left of the date. So this is the date we interested in. And so date of birth of youngest students is this. And so that has been done. So we are done with what we need to do. All right, so we've displayed the function. We have included the header. Again, we have added the label to the youngest date. And then the last part here, we're going to add our name, candidate number at the footer of the report. So here, what we're going to do is we go to the design view, and within the page footer, so here, right, you're going to put in your name, center number, candidate number. So you click on the text box here, which is label, drag, and then put in your name. And you put in your candidate number, 00 in my case. And then I have 73, that's the center number. So once this is done, you are done with the report. Okay, the report is done. So you click on save and go back to the report preview to see if your name is there. So that is it right there. And the date of birth is showing right there. Okay. All right. Okay. So that is it for this question. So place in your evidence a screenshot showing the database formula. So that is for step 20. So we're going to go to the design view once again. Here we're going to reduce this here. It's covering the date of birth. So we're going to take a screenshot of this formula. And all right. And we'll paste this as evidence. Step 20. Make it bigger. Right. So that is it for question 20. We move now to question 21. We move now to question 21. Here we're going to create a label. So again, to create a label, you need a query, right? So to produce a report, you need a query. To create a label, you need a query. So I'm going to go to create and then go to query design. And then let's come here and look at the fields that are needed for this particular query. So here is it using fields from all the tables, produce labels. So again, we need all the tables. So we go to tables and we select all of the tables here, right? So this is the first thing we do. Then just like we did for the query for report, we're looking for some keyword that says shows and select. But in a case of a label, we pay attention to select and the sample label. So in this case, this is our sample label. So if you look here, display the data for each field, okay, left with the layout as shown in the sample label. So we're going to pay attention to this and that, all right? So we're going to create a query. We start with access arrangement. The next one is learner number. Then we have forename, we have surname, and then we have date of birth, right? Then we have class code, and then we have class ref. Okay, so this is the first part of the fields that are needed in this query, but we are not done. we're going to go up to see if there are additional fields that are not here. So if we look here, we have class code here, so that is fine, but we don't have AA code. So we're going to add AA code and then do the filtering. So in here, we're going to add the AA code to the query. So that's exactly what I was saying here in this particular statement right here, that only the name field appear in the order given. Any fields added from select the record must not show in the final work unless are specifically required in the displayed field. Okay, so in this particular case, when we look at the displayed value, AA code needs not to be displayed, but needs to be part of the query. Okay, so next we're going to do the filtering, and in this case, we're going to do AA 01 under AA code for the criteria. Okay, so under AA code, we're going to uncheck this box because it's not supposed to be part of the fields that shows. But then we need AA01 as the filtering. And then the next part says that class code includes. So again, we are seeing the word includes, which is the same as contains. And then we're going to use asterisk on 5 or 6, right? So we go to class code and do asterisk 5 asterisk or the asterisk 6 asterisk, right? So once that is done, it brings out the fields that are required for the label. So in this case here, we have 15 records. So we're going to save this as query 2, and that is all we need for the label. The next part of the question here says sorted in descending order of learning number. So again, we're going to do this here in the label, all right? So we go to close this here, select query 2, go to create, go hit labels. All right, now the dimension given for the label has been specified here. So we have 9.9 cm by 6.77, or in millimeters at such. All right, so what it means is that we can go through these fields and pick up that measurement, but that'll be a waste of time. We can create one from scratch. So we click on customize and come to new, right? And then put in the dimension here. So 9.9, and then we put in here 6.77, right? And this here is fine. That is fine. So we have to check here, arrange in 2 columns. So once it says 2 columns, what it means is that the number across needs to be 2. So we put number across as 2, and then we move on to click on OK. So it's OK and click on yes, and OK again, and close this. Number across is 2, and then we move on to next, next. And this is where we're going to do our label. So we bring in access arrangement, just as we have here. The next one is learner number. So hit enter, learner number. Next again, we have full name, space, surname, enter. Then we go to the next one, date of birth. So enter. And then finally, we have class code. And then so space, hyphen, class ref. And we go to next, next, and finish. So just to lay some emphasis on the labels again. So when you come to the query to create, and then you go to labels, and you have customized your label. So I'm just going to do this again. Delete. Okay. I close. The reason why I'm doing this again because a couple of students have issues with this here. So we go to new, and then we put in here the dimension 9.9, and here is 6.77. Just number across is 2. Go to OK and yes. All right. And click on OK again. So this is a dimension. All right. And then you close. So we can continue from here and go to next and brings in the access code. You hit the enter key, learner, enter full name, space, surname, enter date of birth, enter, you click the class code, hyphen, and then the class drive, and go to next. All right, and then you go to and modify and finish. So here we're going to go to the page size. So here we pick A4 as a page size and check the number of column here is 2. A4 is that, and that is that. So we do that. We decrease the width slightly, and then we can print preview and see how this looks. So print preview. Okay, so we have um, the 1, 2, 3, 4 per page, so that is fine. So what we're going to do next is to rearrange this a bit right here. So I'll go to arrange, then click on start and remove layout, and then select 1, 2, 3, and just bring them down a little and do the same for the next one. Select this 2 and increase the size, font size to 14. Because the question said we should here display in 14 point, center align and display in bold. So we're going to center align this and make it bold, and it's 14. So I'm going to make this here a bit bigger, and this also, right? So everything displayed. So I can move this back a bit, right? Next, we add in our names. So report, design. I click on A, B, A, drag, and then type in your name. And M. So that is just about it for labels, right? So this can go a bit to the left, and that's it. So we can print preview and see. So 1, 2, 3, and so this has 1, 2, 3, 4 items per page, and that is what the question requires to do. So it has 2 columns and 4 rows. So that is it. 2 columns, 4 rows per page. And that is what we have done here. So 1, 2 columns, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So that is it for this one. And the remaining item comes in here. All right. So that is it for this particular question. And then you are asked to make sure every label is fully visible with no overlapping on any field. So when we check, we notice that no field overlaps the other. And that brings us to the end of this particular tutorial. And so that is it for access. In our next tutorial, we'll be looking at the PowerPoint question and solve that. All right, so till we meet again. Bye-bye.